Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this research seminar today at this unusual hour. Our guest today is Professor Carolina Guzmán-Valenzuela. She is professor at the University of Tarapacá in Chile, but right now she is in Bonn in Germany, funded by the good people of the Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst. And this has allowed us to invite her at the moment. She works here. She works on higher education. This is her field of study, and has worked also on different dimensions of higher education. So in particular on academic identities, and also on the role of universities, the 21st century in relationship to the state and to the market. Today she will talk here about research collaboration in Latin America. For that, I understood is partly based on an article she has published, partly also on a broader work. So yeah, welcome together with me, Carolina, to her talk.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm delighted to be here. I want to thank Matthias and Martin. Martin, I think is easier for me. I'm so happy to be here in Barcelona again. I would say that Barcelona is my favorite city. So what I'm going to present today has to do with a research project that we have been working on for the last 2 years about knowledge production in the social sciences and the humanities in Latin America. But to be honest, this is an invitation to reflect about global trends in higher education and the ways in which some global forces shape academia, shape university, and shape knowledge production, specifically in the social sciences. So my invitation today is to reflect on international rankings, for example, impact, economic impact, visibility, invisibility, core, and periphery. So these are more or less the topics and the trends and the issues I'm going to discuss today. Okay, so what is the problem that we detected? First of all, when talking about knowledge production and publications, to be more simple, when we talk about publications, academic papers, and so on, and science, usually most of the studies are focused on what have been called STEM sciences. I don't know whether you are familiar with the acronym, but STEM sciences stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and in the last years, medicine has been added. So most of the science, when we talk about science, and if you read papers about science and bibliometric analysis about science, you will find that most of these studies revolve around STEM disciplines. And why is that? Why, when we talk about global science, why these disciplines seem to be so important, so prestigious, or so visible? One of the reasons why, there are many reasons, but one is that these disciplines, the knowledge that are produced through these disciplines has an economic impact, and that can be measured. Yeah, so you will find a lot of indicators to measure, okay, we are going to produce this, I don't know, this strategy or indicator, and then we will be able to measure impact very easily. But when we talk about social sciences, it's difficult to talk about impact. We can talk about social impact, for example, but it's not that easy when we talk about very complex phenomena, human phenomena, social phenomena. It's not that easy to measure innovation or immediate economic impact. So if we analyze the literature, we will find that most of the publications in about science are published in high-rank journals. Do you know which these very prestigious journals are? Do you have any idea? When we say I'm going to publish a paper in a very prestigious journal, that means that there is a stratification across journals. Yeah. So it's not the same when I publish a paper in Web of Science Core Collection, for example, or if I publish a paper in a journal that doesn't have any index. So there is a stratification, and what happens with these STEM sciences is that most of them publish in English and in very prestigious indexes. But what happened with the social sciences? The social sciences, I am a social scientist, and when we talk about social phenomena, or when I investigate higher education issues, we usually refer to very specific contexts. Yeah, we don't talk about universal higher education. We usually, for example, when I conduct research about higher education systems, usually I'm referring to particular contexts, time, and spaces. So there is a tension there. On the one hand, we have STEM disciplines that address global problems, universal problems, but at the same, and then on the other hand, we have social sciences or the humanities, for example, that deal with very local problems and context-dependent problems. Why Latin America? Well, this is about positionality. When we conduct research in the social sciences, especially, well, I define myself as a qualitative researcher, so positionality for me is very important. And so I speak from somewhere and a place, and I work at a Chilean university, and I am where I live and where I work, Chile, is part of Latin America. And what we have seen in the case of the social sciences and Latin America is that there is an incredible rich tradition of publications, especially books, but it seems that those books and those publications are not very well known outside Latin America. So why is that? It seems that we have incredible publications, incredible books, incredible papers, but it seems that they are not very visible in the international arena. And one of those reasons has to do with language. Most of the publications in the social sciences in Latin America are in English, in Spanish or Portuguese. So if we write in Spanish and Portuguese, that means that it's highly likely that academics who understand Spanish and Portuguese will read our work, while other communities, for example, English-speaking academics won't read those literatures. We can discuss this. Of course, I'm trying to be polemic, but what I am trying to say here is that because we publish in our native language, that knowledge is less visible to some extent. If we think about global science, if we think that English has become the language for global science. It's not Spanish, it's not Portuguese, it's not Chinese yet, but it's English. So it seems that the more we publish in English, the more recognition and visibility we are going to reach. Of course, this is debatable, and we can have a fantastic discussion about that. Basically, in this presentation and in a paper, by the way, this is part of a paper, and some of the authors that co-wrote this paper, is online. One of them or two of them perhaps are online, looking at this presentation. And in this research project, basically we identified two different types of imbalances, what we call epistemic imbalances and geopolitical imbalances. Epistemic imbalances have to do with imbalances across disciplines. Yes, it seems that there are hierarchies. It's not the same when we talk about the social sciences on the one hand and STEM disciplines, for example. I already mentioned that. There is the issue of prestige. There is the issue of productivity. It seems that STEM disciplines publish more, in more high-ranked journals, in English, they get more research monies, while the social sciences and the humanities receive less public monies or research monies. So it seems that to some extent, this distinction between hard and soft sciences remain. I know this distinction is very old, hard and soft sciences. It was proposed in the 70s, and that distinction has been criticized. But it seems that even universities work around these distinctions across faculties, the ways the curriculum is organized, for example. So it seems that this distinction between hard and soft sciences, with all the connotations that this distinction involves, remains. Yeah? We can discuss that, of course, but basically we say that there are these imbalances. Another interesting issue that we detected in the literature about the social sciences is that much of the publications that social scientists do are single-authored. That means that there is very little collaboration, and it's very usual to find a single-author paper, a single-author book. And when there is collaboration, usually we have very small groups of authors collaborating and co-authoring a paper. While in hard sciences, you will I don't know whether you have come across these papers with 200 authors. Have you seen that? It's crazy, but I think that there are even papers with 1,000 co-authors. We don't find that very much in the social sciences. So it's like collaboration is not, at least in the literature, collaboration is not a feature that distinguishes or characterizes the social sciences. And also, as I already mentioned, we have the issue of languages, Portuguese and Spanish in the case of Latin America, but also in the case of Spain and Portugal. And we have this tension about English. In Latin America, we have a big tension in the academia. Do we publish in Spanish? So we get a very Latin American audience, or should we publish in English so we can reach an international, the international audience? And there is an important tension there. I know that tension exists in Spain as well, and we can discuss that, of course. So I mentioned that the first imbalance is epistemic, hierarchies across disciplines. The second one has to do with the colonial past of many regions of the world. And Latin America has an important colonial past. And so we drew on post-colonial theories and the distinction that has been made in the literature. I don't know whether you are familiar, probably you are, with this distinction between the core and the periphery, or the metropole and the periphery. Rowan Connell, a social scientist, a sociologist in Australia, published a very important book on the topic called Southern Theories. And basically what she says a lot, and the book is fantastic, and it's so easy to read, so I really recommend it. She says that theories are produced in the north, in the global north, industrialized countries, while data are collected in the periphery. And then that data are used in the north to produce theories. So we have, again, these imbalances across regions, and this is due to, or a consequence of a colonial past that has been shaping the world to some extent. Another important author is Ventura de Sosa Santos. He's Portuguese, and he distinguishes, he uses a very interesting concept. He talks about epistemicide, or the death of some knowledges, the killing of some knowledges. According to the Sosa Santos, some knowledges exist, but because they are invisible, they have been killed. Yeah, and in that sense, they are invisible, while knowledge produced in the global north or in the core or the metropole is visible. And he, of course, he criticizes this hierarchy, and he promotes the visibility of indigenous knowledges, for example. Yeah, and local knowledges that are produced in former colonies. Another important aspect, theoretical aspect, has to do with international rankings. International rankings have become very important for universities and academia, and in some, I have learned a lot about international rankings in the last year, and I have talked with several academics who work at the most prestigious universities, Oxford, Berkeley, and they say, Carolina, we don't care about rankings. Probably it's because they are in the most prestigious universities in the world, while in countries whose universities don't occupy high-ranked positions, there is a kind of obsession. There is a very nice paper by Rajani Naidu in the UK, and she says that international rankings have become a fetish. Yeah, it's something that is very desirable, and Latin American countries don't perform well in international rankings, but international rankings are always there, and every time that there is a release of international rankings, everybody gets mad. Yeah, international rankings are in the news, and universities say, oh, we have improved. I mean, it's like after political elections, everyone wins. But there is an obsession, I would say, and this is especially so in some countries, and I have to recognize that one of these countries is Chile. Chile has been very affected by international rankings, and universities and academic work are shaped by international rankings in many senses. We can discuss that as well in a little while. The issue of rewards, for example. We receive rewards when I say rewards, we receive money when we publish in a Web of Science Q1 paper, and it's good money. I'm sure it's probably 1 month's salary for one paper. Okay, so it's a concrete reward, but also there is this symbolic reward. It's prestige, visibility, projection into the academia, the international academia. And there are a lot of policies that really promote collaboration, but with certain countries. Some years ago, we analyzed in Brazil and in Chile some policy documents about strategic collaboration, and we found that in one of these documents, basically what the national funding body was saying, you have to collaborate with this list of countries. And they were quite specific countries, most of them in the global north, and most of them with universities that are high ranked, in the international ranking. Okay, so after all of this, I want to tell you a bit about what we did. We identified articles published in two well-known databases, and these are Web of Science, which is the most prestigious one, the more selective one, and especially the collection that is called Core Collection. Yes, so the Core Collection is the most prestigious collection in Web of Science, and it's difficult to publish there, especially for social scientists. It's not easy. It's not easy to publish there. Usually, at least in the social sciences, when you go into these journals, they say that they have a 90% rate of rejection, and that is for them, it's like it's very prestigious because they reject 90% of the papers. So it's not easy to publish there. They are very selective. It's not easy, and they have a lot of prestige. And then the other database that we took into consideration is SciELO. Why SciELO? Because SciELO is a very popular index in Latin America, but also in South Africa. It was created in Brazil in the 1990s. And then, you know, the struggles that Latin America has been experiencing has to do with visibility. So SciELO was created to make science from Latin America more visible. And I think it was in 2013 that SciELO now is part of Web of Science. So if you go to Web of Science, the web page, you will find several indexes, and one is SciELO. Yeah, but of course, the majority of publications in SciELO are in Spanish and Portuguese because of obvious reasons. Yeah. Okay, so we identified all the papers in the social sciences, but also in the humanities, because this project includes the humanities as well. And one of the criteria is that these papers had to be co-authored by at least one Latin American author. Yes? So in the end, we detected a total of 127,515 papers, but in the social sciences, I've got the number here, thanks to one of the authors, Matias Montero. We included 94,000 articles from the social sciences. So it's a big sample. Yeah, it's a big sample of articles that were co-authored by at least one Latin American author. So some outcomes and findings. What you can see here is pretty obvious. There is an explosion or a very important growth in the number of publications in the social sciences and also in the art and humanities, but in the social sciences it's more evident. You can see the graphs here, and the figures show that in both Web of Science and SciELO, the number of publications went up in an incredible way. Yes? And this is especially so for SciELO. But in Web of Science, it's quite, this growth is quite evident as well. So this is an important outcome. It seems that there are more publications of papers in the social sciences in Latin America. Why is that? Regarding, if we analyze countries and their performance, we will find that Brazil is the country that publishes the most in the social sciences. But this is quite obvious because Brazil is huge, as you know. So they have a lot of researchers, and they invest. I would say that is the country that invests the most in research and development in Latin America compared with other countries. then if we adjust the number of articles by a million of inhabitants, we find that Chile is the country that publishes the most. And there are some possible explanations for this, but you will see Chile, Cuba, and Uruguay. And so it seems that these countries are leading the production of articles in the social sciences in Latin America. And you can see that this is especially so in the last years. I think it's quite evident from that graph. Okay, not sure whether you can see this very well. It doesn't matter. The message here is that when we think about the social sciences, we need to consider that there are different disciplines in the social sciences. It's not the same if we talk about political sciences, sociology, psychology, law, education. There is a variety of disciplines that are part of the social sciences. So we decided to do a kind of zoom, and we wanted to analyze whether all the disciplines behave in the same way or whether there were differences across disciplines. And what we found is that there are three disciplines that are very productive, three disciplines in the social sciences. And they are, I'm sure you cannot read this, but they are educational and educational research. And then the second one is, cannot read very well, but it's business and economics. And the second one is psychology. Yeah. So these are the three most productive disciplines within the social sciences in Latin America. And you will see that other disciplines don't perform that well. I think I found, I cannot see it here because this picture is not, this graph is not very good, but I don't think that political science performed very well, by the way, at least in Latin America. But I think it's around, I cannot see, I think it's here, international, well, I cannot see it very well, but I'm sure in the paper is clearer. Anyway, so this is an interesting outcome because that means that some disciplines within the social sciences perform better than other disciplines in the social sciences. Why is that? We can discuss it. We proposed, we suggested some explanations for that, and we can discuss this outcome as well. This graph is about authorship and collaboration. And do you remember I mentioned that in the social sciences, authors usually publish by themselves or with very small teams of co-authors? So what we found is that effectively, in yellow, the yellow line, in 2002, most of the publications, and until 2006 probably, most of the publications were single author papers. And that confirmed what the literature says. However, this trend has been changing. Can you see that the yellow line? It has been decreasing. So it seems that collaboration is increasing, but we wanted to know which type of collaboration. When I say collaboration, I mean co-authorship, yes? Two or more authors co-authoring a paper. So what we found is that in the first place, there is a lot of collaboration within a single country. That means Chilean academics collaborate with Chilean academics, Argentinian academics with Argentinian academics, and so on. So there is collaboration within a single country. But then we found that collaboration with countries, with authors who are affiliated outside Latin America, and this is this kind of purple line, is higher than collaboration within Latin America. In other words, it seems that we collaborate more with authors from outside Latin America, but we don't collaborate very much with academics who are in Latin America and who live in a different country. I don't know, Chile with Argentina, Argentina with Brazil, Paraguay with Honduras, and so on. And this is striking. What is happening here? Why Latin American academics, it seems that they prefer collaboration first with colleagues from the same country, and on the second place with academics outside Latin America. That is very counterintuitive. If we think about language, for example, it's much easier if we collaborate with, I don't know, with colleagues who speak the same language, especially in the case of Spanish. But it seems that there is a trend, especially in the social sciences, so that academics tend to collaborate. When they collaborate either with colleagues from the same country or from outside Latin America. Why is that? Why is that? We have some theories about that as well. So when we collaborate with colleagues from outside Latin America, these are the countries with which we collaborate the most. In the first place, the United States. Second place, Spain, and then the United Kingdom. And then we can find also France, Germany, and Canada. This is not surprising. We have found these results already in other fields of studies that are in the social sciences. But what is interesting is that it seems that the collaboration with the United States is decreasing, while the collaboration with Spain is increasing. Why is that? Again, we have some theories, some explanations. For Latin America, the role of the United States is very important. And I'm not talking just about universities. I'm talking about political issues, economic issues. So the presence of the United States is very important in Latin America. As you well know, it is documented that the United States has intervened many times in democratic processes in Latin America, and Latin America is very dependent on the United States. Yes, and there is a lot of literature about that. So we wonder whether this dependency is diminishing. We don't know, but something is happening. It seems that this obey, or a possible explanation perhaps has to do with the role of the United States in global science, because we found other papers that mention that in general collaboration with the United States is not diminishing, but it seems that other countries are appearing in this international arena. So for example, China is having an important role when talking about collaboration. Well, I don't know whether you know, but China is becoming a very important power in global science. They created the Shanghai ranking, for example, and they have been improving and improving because there is a huge investment there regarding China. So China is becoming a superpower in global science. So perhaps the United States is losing, or to some extent, its hegemony. I don't know. We can discuss this. Spain. Well, a very obvious explanation for Spain is that Latin America, except for Brazil and very few countries in Central America, we only speak Spanish. So it seems that a very plausible explanation is that we collaborate with Spain because of language and because we share some cultural features, perhaps. Yeah, it would be interesting to know why, although this collaboration wasn't that high, it has been increasing over time. Perhaps it's because Spain needs to publish more as well. We have been, perhaps, it seems that Spanish academics in the social sciences need to publish more, and because they publish more, they try to find more collaborations, and one of these possible collaborations is with Latin America, is one possible explanation. I'm okay with the time? Yeah? Okay. So, I wanted to show you this graph about collaboration. We have different colors here. Single author papers, that means one author. Then collaboration within a single country in a kind of darker green. Then in, this is like green-blue, I don't know how to call it, collaboration within Latin America, that means with colleagues within Latin America, and then collaboration with colleagues outside Latin America. And with this figure, we wanted to show that the behavior of the countries is different. So for example, we have Brazil with a lot of single author and single country collaboration. Yeah, it seems that science is very nationalistic, very national, a kind of national, or has a national feature. Same thing for Venezuela, something similar, Cuba, although in the case of Cuba there is more collaboration within a single country, and then Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, and Chile. We can see that there are some patterns there that are to some extent similar. But then, if we have a look here, in this kind of purple color, you will see that some Latin American countries, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Bolivia, have a lot of collaboration outside Latin America. And these countries are the poorest countries in Latin America. We can find different explanations. What we suggest in our paper is that when there is more economic fragility, there is more academic dependency on collaboration from outside Latin America. Yes? While countries that have more stable economies, as you know, Latin America has differences, and countries have a lot of differences, but there is a group of countries that have better economic indicators, and there is a group of very, very poor countries. And it seems that the wealthiest countries in Latin America have more infrastructure, perhaps, more researchers, and more capacity to produce science and produce these papers, while it seems that the poorest countries depend on collaboration with countries outside Latin America, and probably the United States. I mean, if we think about Dominican Republic, Haiti, Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador, even geographically, they are very close to the United States, and the influence of the United States is very important there. Okay, so, and I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of data, but my last graph is about leadership. So when you have a paper, yes, and you see several authors, who is leading the research? Who is leading that paper? Yeah, it depends on the discipline, but at least in the social sciences, it seems that the corresponding author and the first authors are those who lead the paper. Yeah. In some other sciences, the one who leads the laboratory, for example, is the last one. But it seems that in the social sciences and in the humanities, the first author usually is the corresponding author. So this is the proxy we use to identify who was leading that article. And what we found is that, and this was a bit striking and unexpected, we found that there is a group of countries that whose academics tend to lead papers. And we have Cuba, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Chile, and Mexico, with an important percentage of papers in which academics from these countries are the corresponding author and the first author. While, again, this pattern in these countries, again, the poorest countries in Latin America, we found that usually academics from those countries are not first authors and corresponding authors of those papers. It's someone else, yeah, and probably someone from outside Latin America, and that speaks to academic dependency again. Who leads the research? Who is the intellectual leader in that research? Okay, so to summarize, I'm going to finish very soon. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of ideas. Everything is contained in this paper that we have recently published in a Web of Science journal, of course. And I can give you the reference in a little while. And basically what we found is that knowledge production in the social sciences in Latin America is experiencing an incredible change and an explosion of papers, academic papers. There is a spectacular increase in the number of articles published in the social sciences. At least until 2006, most of these papers were single author papers, but that pattern changed later on. And now there are more collaborative papers. So collaboration is increasing, but not every type of collaboration, but very specific types of collaboration. The first one is collaboration between authors within a single country and collaboration with colleagues outside Latin America. Yeah. So those trends are very important, and we found that the United States has an important role, although that role is diminishing, or the power is diminishing, and then the presence of Spain is increasing, followed by the presence of the UK, France, Germany, and Canada. The other thing that we found is that there is very little collaboration between South-South regions. And when I say South-South, for example, I am saying collaboration between Latin American authors and African authors, or authors from Asia. It seems that, at least in the social sciences, academics don't collaborate with academics from regions in the global south. Why is that? And an important point, and this is a very important point. All these patterns we found, are different across countries. So we cannot treat Latin America as a unit. There are a lot of differences here. Of course, we can have an overview of the whole region in the social sciences, but there are very different patterns depending on the country, and this distinction is important. So let's finish with some ideas for the discussion. We found that articles, the production and the publication of papers is increasing. Yeah, we saw this spectacular growth in the publication of papers in the social sciences. So one question that emerges is what happens with books? Someone could ask me today why we didn't include books, and I can tell you why. It's very easy to identify the books, at least in Latin America. You cannot go into a web page and say, okay, these are the books that have been written by Latin American authors, and this is why we only focus on articles. So we are speculating here. Perhaps academics are publishing more papers than books or chapters in books. This is a very plausible trend. And one explanation is that rewards and grants are given more weight to articles. So I'm going to put one example. When I was in one group of the national funding body, and some authors publishing an article in Web of Science received a higher score than someone who published a whole book. So I know it sounds crazy, but a Web of Science paper has more weight than a book in that system. Can you imagine? A book, a whole book. So it seems that these global trends, this call for academic productivity, prestige, rewards, are shaping the knowledge production, and probably books are becoming less attractive. The other issue is what happens with the social sciences and epistemic nationalism. It seems that most of the collaboration occurs within Latin America, or within a single country, or as a single author paper. What is happening with that kind of epistemic localism? Perhaps we have national policies that are pushing us in a way that those policies don't promote collaboration across Latin America. The issue of international rankings and prestige, I have tackled this issue, I have mentioned this issue several times. It seems that international rankings, prestige, are having a huge impact, and we know that. We know that, and this is happening not only in the social sciences, but across disciplines, and universities have been affected by these trends. And then it seems that these differentiated patterns across Latin American countries speak to different kind of what we call axis of epistemic dependence and epistemic independence. So it seems that some countries are more stable, they invest more resources in research and are more independent or autonomous, while the poorest countries with fewer resources, fewer scientists, depend more on powerful countries of the global north. So questions to discuss, and this is a suggestion. What is happening with Spain in the social sciences? What is happening with publications, collaboration in Spain? What is happening in Europe? I'm very aware that there are policies like the Horizon scheme, the European this European policy that promotes collaboration across European countries. Perhaps what is happening in Europe and in Spain is quite different from what is happening in Latin America. So let's stop. Thank you very much.